All right, you know what it is. We're back again. Back again. The triple tag team is back again. Fantasy freaking football podcast.
Fantasy freaking football podcast, yeah.
We got James here. James, say what's up.
Special guest.
What up?
James is more of a regular guest now. One day we'll take the guest out if he's consistent, but he's a regular guest at this point.
He doesn't have a coffee cup in the mailbox just yet.
Yeah. He doesn't have his own cubicle, but we'll get him there. And then Brandon, say what's up to the people, man.
What's going on, good people? What's going on?
All right. So this week we got something very, very important for you. 3 risers and 3 fallers. Training camps are open. Preseason has begun. Football is upon us. Draft season is almost here. So we're going to start coming at you guys with how to win your league coming up. Like this is about to be the business. The next one, we might just come up with how to win your league. That's what's important here. That's what we're coming at you with. But this week we have the top 3 risers and top 3 fallers per myself, Brandon, and James. I will kick us off this week. We're going to go risers to start off with. My top riser right now, I'm doing reverse order. So my number 3 riser is Desean Watson. Desean Watson, the talent is there, baby. Nobody wonders about the talent. Everybody knows if he's playing, top 5 fantasy quarterback every time. But them guys got a little bit of troubles. Got a little bit of troubles. Him and Cuomo may have something in common. So we'll see if he plays. But the reason he's rising, his stock is rising for me, is he is out there. He showed up to training camp. Says he doesn't want to be a Texans, but he's out in training camp right now. He's out there performing. And these things take time. And it seems like the NFL is going to take their time with it and not go the route that they typically go, which is guilty until proven innocent. It seems like they're going to go the actual way that things are handled, which is innocent until proven guilty. With that being said, I think Deshaun Watson will play most, if not this whole season. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Deshaun Watson, honestly, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Not with any valuable draft pick anyway. Because the last thing you want to do is depend on him to be your quarterback. Maybe they trade him. Maybe the NFL midseason comes out with because I feel like the NFL is just waiting until something happens with the civil suits or the criminal cases. So I honestly wouldn't throw any kind of equity towards it. Like I'll stash him with like the 13, 14 pick on the bench as a flyer, but it's no way that I'm throwing any valuable draft equity anywhere near Deshaun Watson. My
point being, sorry, James, I'll let you go in 1 second, but 3 weeks ago, would you have even taken him with your 13th or 14th pick?
So you took my take. Thanks for taking my hot take. JJ hot take over here, waiting his turn.
All right, I apologize. Right? I apologize. James, go ahead.
So if rise means I wasn't going to draft him, and now, I might swoop him in the final round, Mr. Irrelevant. Possibly.
That's a riser.
Possibly, but
that's something. Yeah, it's a riser.
I got you, and I'm not, but I can't trust it. That's all I got to say.
So, James, would you not take him in the 14th in a 15-round draft?
Probably not. Probably touch him.
But even the 1 year when Antonio Brown was like just went to Oakland and went haywire and got kicked off. The Patriots, like I picked him up and just had him on my bench the whole season. Like I knew he wasn't gonna play, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep him play defense in case he does. Like, but still, like I wouldn't. If I had him on my team, I would have no expectations of him getting any burn anywhere. Like I personally just wouldn't. I don't think Deshaun Watson's gonna play this season.
So the reason why he's a riser is because I was not even willing to. In 15 roster spots, even 16 roster spots, I wasn't even willing to roster the guy, to be completely honest, 3 weeks ago. Today, I'm willing to have him as a late 14th round pick or so.
Right.
I'm willing to hold him because the talent is worth that crappy roster spot. If you're in a 15 round draft, you might as well, unless you need to have a kicker in the defense, but the people you take in 12, 13, 14, 15, you can expect that I'm probably going to drop some of these people if a better free agent comes about.
Yeah.
And
But at the same token,
Deshaun Watson at this moment is worth owning with one of those terrible picks.
But see, I wouldn't necessarily say he's worth owning simply because with our league, we just opened up another flex spot. So there's no way that I would burn a roster spot on Deshaun Watson.
Oh, so that's a rarity. That the extra flex spot, sure, that's a rarity. It's not a normal thing. If we're talking different rarity things about a lot of leagues are 2 quarterbacks. If you're in a 2 quarterback league, you bet your ass I'm owning Deshaun Watson in the 13th round. If he's still there, 100% in a 2 quarterback league, no question. But even in a 1 quarterback league, I'm taking him late with one of those those dart throws you talk about. Hey, because in the 13th, 14th, 15th round, what are you drafting for? I preach this to everybody. You are drafting for a high ceiling at those late picks. You're looking who has the highest ceiling and that has not been drafted. And Deshaun Watson has that high ceiling. All right.
Trust it.
All right. James, go ahead then. James, give us your number 3 riser.
My number 3 riser is none other than the homer pick, David Ninjoku. And here's why. Reports out of camp say that Hooper has lost a step. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why is he a riser? Because I'm probably not going to take it. He's not going to be my starter, right? Well, Ninjoku is just like Deshaun Watson in that, yeah, you may not have drafted him, but guess what? Now you may, because he's going to get the tight end share. That's what he's going to get in Cleveland. And I don't know if you remember Baker last year, he loved his tight ends. So you're talking an average of probably 8 targets a game. That's good tight end. Go ahead, Chuckles.
Okay. Brandon, go first.
I mean, out of all the players, huh? Wow. Okay. A backup tight end. Nice. But I mean,
he was a first round pick. He was a first round pick.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going off the premise of, him actually being valued higher and maybe become a starter because, maybe Hooper's lost a step or whatever. Right now, it looks like he's going like he's way down there right now. But I mean, I don't know. I guess, sure. I guess I can agree, James. If we're going off the premise of him being a riser, sure.
So I think
you got to think about this. You got to think about this. Sorry, Julian. I'll take your take too. But you got to think about this. Why'd they bring Hooper there? Why'd they bring him there? Is it the same reason why they
betterness
draft? They draft. Well, no. So is it the same? Isn't the same reason because the same reason why someone would draft a young quarterback to play behind an old wise quarterback just to get those reps and learn under that vet player.
No.
And he's been.
I don't think so. I think they brought him in because they didn't trust in Ninjoku enough. They think Austin Hooper was better.
Yeah, on top of his injury history too, man.
Yeah, he's hurt a lot. But so I think we should have discussed the premise of this a little bit better before we picked our players, because if you're rising but still not draft worthy, I don't think we should have brought that person up. And so maybe he went from pick 1,500 to pick 1,000.
But yeah, because right now he's on average, he's the 30th tight end right now, according to ESPN.
So he went up to 26, still not home worthy.
So if everybody in the 12-man league drafted 2 tight ends, he still wouldn't get picked.
So we're 0 for 2 then. Great podcast, guys.
Hey, you say that, but let's bring it up come draft day. We'll see if David Ninjoku or Deshaun Watson get drafted. Let's see.
Okay, but
if anybody drafts Deshaun Watson, Julian, it's going to be you.
$100. $100 says
scores more fantasy points
between Deshaun Watson and David Ninjoku.
Yeah.
If Deshaun Watson plays 1 game, he'll score more.
I doubt it highly.
By week 3, he'll score more than Ninjoku will play all season, even if he's healthy.
Hey, Chuckles. It's JJ Hot Take. Take it and remember the podcast, baby. This is recorded.
All right, Brandon, go ahead.
So So I'm gonna go on a different route with running back. I'm gonna go with Daryl Henderson from the Rams, because I mean
Boring.
obviously with the injury to Cam Akers, he's drastically flying up draft boards at this point. I really hate for the guys who've already had their drafts, and like now everybody, whenever Cam Akers got hurt, everybody ran to the waiver wire to snatch him up, because that's clearly gonna be your RB1. So I think they're gonna focus on running the ball, even though I don't really think they're gonna like go the route where Matt Stafford was in Detroit, where he's just slinging it all around the yard. I don't think Sean McVay is gonna do that. I still think they're gonna do ball control, run the ball defense. But I definitely think Daryl Henderson, I would take a huge flyer on him. And right now he's 22nd running back, roughly, according to ESPN, being taken. I mean, I can name 4 guys right now that I would take him over. So
Okay. So sorry. Okay, sorry. I'll go. So we said Deshaun Watson comes 13th, 14th round. I'm 100, and he's on the board. I'm 100% taking him because the ceiling is that high. We said David Njoku, he rose, but still not draft worthy. So I don't know why we brought him up. But so Daryl Henderson, where are you willing to draft him? That was a joke, by the way, James. You didn't laugh.
Hey, these are recorded. Man. I'm good.
So where is the draft worthy spot now? You said he's risen from where to where?
I mean, roughly, he wasn't even being. I mean, he was
right. He was going. If he was going at all, he was going 12, 13. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, It was going to be like mid.
So
mid to
where
late
should the listeners take him?
I could still take a flyer on him. Maybe 3rd round. I mean, I would say 3rd round, because I mean, at that point, especially if you're hurting for running backs, depending on your draft position and your wide receiver heavy. I mean, I wouldn't say I would want to go into a league with him being my RB1, but I mean, if you need a running back in like the 3rd round, I definitely think like he's going to be an RB1. So I mean, the quantity.
Are you saying? So you're saying around guys higher or above, get guys like Myles Gaskin, maybe.
Yes.
So around there, like around the Myles Gaskin area.
Yeah.
Okay. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Mike Davis, around guys like that. Draft around them. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably taking him before all 3 of those, actually. I mean, I put a couple obvious choices on my risers also, and he's absolutely an obvious choice. So, I mean, yeah, I think where you said be 3rd round, fantastic. I mean, you're probably going to see him go late 2nd.
Oh yeah, somebody's going to do it, because they're going to be hurting on running backs. I mean, at that point, if you're looking at like the amount of running backs out there, like the ones you just named, like if you're getting to the point where you're depending on Myles Gaskin and Mike Davis, you're probably in a running back hurt lock already anyway. So
right. So I think in majority of leagues he'll go in the 3rd round, because I think you'll take a higher running back in the first. Most people another high running back if they fell to you, or if you are in the Travis Kelce camp, or if you're a George Kittle fan, maybe in the 2nd. I'm not a fan of the George Kittle pick, but if you're in that camp, you'll take one of them. Then maybe you get a high wide receiver at that point, or if a really great running back still fell to you, then the 3rd round I think sounds logical. And yeah, he's one of, if not the most obvious picks. So yeah, great pick. All right, number 2 riser for me. I'm gonna go with an obvious one myself, Alvin Kamara. Now he's not rising much. He's rising, honestly, for me. If it was PPR, I was honestly looking at him at like round pick 5 or 6. I personally now have him in PPR league number 2 overall behind CMC. Half point PPR, 2 or 3 with Dalvin Cook there. Either way, and in standard, he's in the top 4 conversation. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, CMC, and him. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 4. Only way you're screwed is if and when one of them get hurt, which somebody's going to get hurt. It's another COVID season. It's just another season of football with an extra week, extra game to play. Someone's going to get hurt. Yeah. But Alvin Kamara is typically healthy. He's a veteran. He's been around long enough to consider him a veteran, and he's got a track record of being healthy. To be completely honest with you, at this point with the Michael Thomas injury, I'm taking in all formats Alvin Kamara number 2 behind CMC.
Yeah, we don't need to talk a lot about Kamara. That
I agree.
is an obvious one.
I agree.
He's good. I mean, I wasn't real high on the cat, just because I don't really, that offense wigs me out, and I don't, we don't really know who the starter is. I mean, I think reports out of camp is Jameis is taking that gig, but no, I mean, I think he has to be their offense now. I mean,
he's the reality. He's the number 1 of everything. Number 1 receiving option, number 1
option
of everything.
Oh yeah. I would definitely. I mean, in that particular, not in that particular order, I would definitely do C-Mac, Kamara, Cook. Well, C-Mac, Kamara, Cook, and then Henry 4, because they don't necessarily use Henry as much as a passing option, nearly as much as Kamara. Kamara gets a lot of pass touches, and Dalvin Cook does, and C-Mac. So I mean, if you're going with standard, I would definitely consider Henry, 1A, 1B with C-Mac. But I mean, Henry would definitely be 4, and then I could see Kamara at 2 in a PPR league.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with any of those. I just there was a tier of just 3, and Alvin Kamara goes up into that tier now with the Michael Thomas injury. That's why I think we had to mention it. But yes, it's obvious. We'll move on now. Pick number 2, Brandon Reiser. Go ahead.
Pick number 2 for me is going to be Mr. Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons. I think
rising.
For me, I'm getting a little more giddy about this Falcons offense, man. And I think Kyle Pitts has a very high ceiling. If you watch some of his tape from Florida, like he can play every wide receiver position. They have him play slot, they play outside, and like a huge bulk of the target shares are lost with the departure of Julio Jones. So I'm really like where he's going now. He's about 48th right now. Overall player. There's quite a few. I mean, like they have the Tyler Lockett's, the Amari Cooper, who I don't trust them from year in year out. They have these guys drafting over DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, or whatever. So I mean, in that area, I mean, I would definitely be high on Pitts, and I would consistently start just because I feel like the volume is going to be there. I feel like Calvin Ridley is going to take a lot of attention away from the primary secondary guy, but I think Kyle Pitts is definitely going to have a monster year this year. So for me, I feel like I'm getting a little more confident, because initially I was rookie's going to come out, he's going to do good things because he's an athlete, but I'm getting a lot more confident with Kyle Pitts. So for me personally, he's moving up my board definitely.
I tend to agree with that, just because their offense needs him, and I hope he does well. I was never high on the kid. Remember, I said he was one of my busts, and the reason for that mainly is because of how fast NFL defenses play. And I mean, yeah, SEC's got fast defenses, but they're not NFL defenses. So I worry a little bit about Kyle Pitts. I'm with you. I mean, I hear reports coming out of camp that he's a stud, and his athletic ability is ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully they can get him the rock. I don't know if he's risen. But for you, be cool. Right. He's risen.
Right. And so that's my question is, he's risen in what sense? Because risers are from when we started the podcast, right? From May, June to now, from when we were coming into the off season to now, risen. I have not had Kyle Pitts rise in my tight end rankings whatsoever. I still got him sitting at in the top 6, in that tier of 4 through 6, really 5 or 6. Where do you have him now? Where has he risen for you?
I would because initially I was high on Mark Andrews. I could see him honestly being. I know you're high on Darren Waller, man, but I just don't trust Derek Carr. I could still see myself taking him in the range between, because right now it's Travis Kelce, George Kittle. I wouldn't be mad at taking him as the third tight end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, and
I won't let.
It looks like in the leagues where you got me and Big Jimbo down here, it looks like you are going to be a Kyle Pitts owner, my good friend. So good for you.
Yeah, that's what it. No, I'm not saying that I will. I'm saying that I wouldn't be mad at somebody if they took him, because one, like I said, with Darren Waller, it's the Derek Carr effect for me, and then with. So
you're saying over George Kittle?
No, I said over. I think Travis Kelce and George Kittle are the top 2 tight ends. You think Waller is higher than that, than the Kittle?
Yes,
I don't.
I think Waller's up there. I think Waller's up there.
Okay, so you're putting him at number 4. So you still have so for me for tight end rankings, it's Travis Kelce in a class by his own.
Yeah.
And Darren Waller and George Kittle very close, but I have Darren Waller ahead.
Okay.
And then there's the class of Hawkinson, Andrews, and Pitts. But Pitts is on the bottom of that. Like if you go Hawkinson, Andrews, or Andrews, Hawkinson, either way, I honestly believe it's a coin toss which one of them who are going to have a better season between the two of them. But then Pitts is after that. So do you put him above those guys? Do you put him in the tier above?
I definitely put him above definitely above Hawkinson. Easily.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I said, you put him above Waller.
I wouldn't necessarily put him above Waller, but I would take him over Mark Andrews. Like I said, I wouldn't be mad if Kyle Pitts was a 3rd tight end taken.
So you say he went from 6-ish, 7, whatever, to number 4 overall for you?
Yeah, 3-4 range.
Yeah. Okay. All right, James, give us your second pick.
I got a twofer. Probably the most obvious of the entire podcast, but it's Aaron Jones, Devonte Adams in Green Bay. Aaron is back. He looks fantastic. I mean, and they both should shoot up your draft board. I mean, I think Adams goes back to wide receiver 1. Yeah. And I think Jones is now a 1st-round draft pick. So with Aaron there.
Oh yeah, I definitely 1,000% agree with that. Devonte Adams last year, he was a fantasy monster, and Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers does throw him a lot of balls. Especially if you are dipping your toe in the PPR room. Aaron Jones is a great snag if you're looking for a good running back. So don't shy away from that guy.
There's no argument at all. My question is though, so if you bring these people up and you say they're risers, to me they rose from where to where. So James, Aaron Rodgers went from where to where you will take him now, and Aaron Jones, because Rodgers really didn't rise much for me because I anticipated him playing, and even if he played, he doesn't rush, so he didn't rise much for me. Jones jumped like 3 running backs for me. So where is he for you?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I wasn't. If you remember in an earlier podcast, I wasn't touching either of them until late. If Aaron wasn't there, I mean, not super late. I mean, I'm third round, But I think you could argue they can both go in the 1st in a 12-man league.
Oh wait, Aaron Rodgers in the 1st round?
No. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers, man.
Oh yeah, you said Adams.
I said Aaron Jones. Yeah,
I missed
Aaron Rodgers is the reason why they've risen.
Yeah. Okay. So, but both late 1st, right?
Yeah, I mean, and neither in the 1st if Aaron's not there.
So, do you have Adams number 1 overall? That's the question.
I think so. I mean, it's arguable, but I think I gotta put him 1.
I can't get mad at anyone that says it. It's honestly, it's a 1 alpha at this point. It's either him or Tyreek. And any argument for either of them is valid. So, okay. I will finish it up with the risers. My number 3 riser, I went this route because I was going to stay on the same page as James. Somebody who I was not willing to roster a month ago, 2 months ago for sure, was never even a thought to draft this guy. But now, if he's available in round especially 12, but I mean, maybe even early, I don't know. I haven't fully thought of where I'm going to take this guy, but if he's there late, you can bet your bottom dollar I will own some shares of Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb owns the slot when it comes to Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback, and he was a turd for a little while. He was in Dallas, he's nothing. Then he had a little bit of a resurrection with Houston. The guy showed that he still got it. He's the most beautiful man I think I've ever seen in my life. And those eyes, dude, those eyes are to die for. And he owns the slot.
What?
Like nobody's business.
Oh,
Randall Cobb needs to be owned in every league, in every format. What are your thoughts?
Okay. I could have done without the most beautiful man alive.
But you feel better
But,
now that you heard it, didn't you?
Yeah. So I mean, he is definitely the epitome of a true riser, being that he was likely nobody was going to draft him. Nobody. So now he went from the realm of being nobody touching him, maybe a waiver wire pickup if you get lucky and he gets a lot of points 1 week, to like now he's definitely a surefire person that a lot of people in most leagues are going to be drafted because of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he needs to be owned in all formats. He needs to be owned 12 man or higher, owned in all formats.
Yeah, but you failed to remind the listeners as to why, right? So the end of the day,
the connection, baby.
He goes to Green Bay because he was especially requested by Aaron. And so that was Aaron made because that's all he really wanted to do. Aaron just wants to have those conversations. He wants to be involved. That's the whole reason he held out. So they made that move because he came back and was like, look, dude, here's a condition, so he's going to get him the rock. Does he move up to starter? I don't know. If you're weak with your wide receivers, maybe in a deep league. But yeah, no.
James, quit freezing on us.
James got that dial up.
All right, Brandon, number 2. Brandon, give us your number 3 riser.
My top riser for me is going to be James is still going, man.
Yeah, okay, just go ahead, Brandon.
My top riser is going to be Odell Beckham, man. For me, he's soaring up draft boards, man. I really feel like he's going to have a monster year. I mean, even like where he's ranked, ESPN, man, is freaking blasphemy, man. I mean, he's the 26th wide receiver projected, 65th overall taken. I mean, I can name you, as I'm counting up this list, I can name you about 9 wide receivers that I would take before him. So, I mean, for me personally, he is soaring up draft boards. I'm expecting a huge year from OBJ this year. So that's my top riser pick.
I don't quite understand. You said you could name like 9 that you would take before him.
Yeah.
So how has he risen?
Huh?
I
said up my draft board.
He meant after.
He meant after, right?
He meant after. Yeah, he meant 9. He would take Odell before.
Yeah, before. So like
okay.
Where he's at now, I'm looking at the wide receivers that are taken before him. And I'm like, how is that? It's no way. It's absolutely no way.
All right, Brandon. All right, James, go ahead and agree real quick.
Already agreed.
yeah. I was just joking because the Homer thing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously. All right.
Hey, you know what? Hey, and you know what? I've been dying to play the Homer card. I try to stay down the line. I try to stay as neutral as possible. But screw it. You know what? Number 1 wide receiver this year, Odell Beckham Jr. Brandon, greatest point you ever made. 100% all in OBJ this year. James, your pick. Go ahead. Are you here, James?
James got the
of the podcast. Yeah,
right,
can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, James. Man, this is Marriott Bonvoy. Recently acted up. What happened?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. We can see you. Yeah, we got you. Go ahead. Number 3.
Okay. So active yesterday off the pup, Saquon Barkley. I mean, he moves up your draft board. He has to move up your draft board because it was questionable as to whether or not week 1 or possibly a couple weeks in the season. And now with him active and practicing today, looks like we'll see him week 1.
So he goes from where to where for you? He rose from where to where?
Again, same thing with Jones and Adams. I'm not taking him first round if he's potentially not going to play 2 games. Just not doing it. I'm not doing it if I have picked 12.
But now you are taking him first round, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
So are you taking him 5 through 8?
Absolutely.
Okay. I 100% agree. I'd consider him at the turn and like around the turn, maybe a little bit after the turn, which is, for those who don't know, the turn is the 12th pick because it's a snake draft. Yeah. So you get 2 picks. It's called the turn, 1 through 12. And at 12, you get 2 picks. That's called the turn because then it goes back for the second round. I was considering him if I had if I got the 12th pick or the 11th pick, take him on my second on the turn. But now if I'm sitting at 5 through 8 and he's there, I'm taking Saquon. Now that he's back, when he's healthy, he's arguably the best running back on planet Earth. The trouble is he is not healthy very often anymore. So there's that. Go, Brandon.
I don't know. He's always been. I mean, that's the Giants homer in me. So he's always been high on my draft board regardless. So I got burned by him last year, and I'm probably gonna get burned by him again this year. So he's high on my draft board. I can't necessarily say that I wouldn't have taken him in the first round. Even if they said he wasn't going to play into the second week, like I would have still taken the first round. Like absolutely. That's like, what are the backs are you looking at that are going to come after that? You're going to take that have a higher ceiling than him after coming back on week 2. None of them.
I disagree. I'm not going to go into all the ones that I would consider, but there are many because I just coming back from big injury like that from a guy that's injury prone, which Saquon is pretty injury prone as of recently. But he's back, and if the thing that will really solidify me taking him in 5 through 8 is if I get to see him in preseason. If I could really get to see him work in preseason, and he looks like the Saquon of his rookie year, I'm like, man, okay, I'd love to give me some shares of Saquon. Right now,
I don't think he's going to get too much PT in the preseason games.
I agree with you.
Reports are out now that he's going to play the 4th preseason game.
Cool,
man. Good. I hope because if he does, that changes things for me. But okay, we did it. We got through our risers. Now to our fallers. I will kick us off again with the fallers. I'm going to give you the most obvious faller, and he goes along with my pick earlier of Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara was shooting up so high because this guy is going down so low. Michael Thomas. Now I am, for those of you who know me, OHIO. James and I are both huge Buckeyes fans. I'm a huge Michael Thomas fan. I'm a big Ezekiel Elliott fan. My Buckeyes hit the league. I'd like to cheer them all on. I'm a big Buckeyes fan. I'm a huge Michael Thomas fan, and I usually love to get as much. I typically can't afford Michael Thomas. I don't get the pick where it's right for his value. I usually don't get him, but I'd love to have Michael Thomas every year if I can. With that being said, he just had surgery on an ankle injury that was hurting him last year as well. This seems like it is a reoccurring thing. He's dropping even more for me than he is most people. And it hurts me to say that, but I definitely will not own Michael Thomas this year because I'm not looking at him before the 8th round. And I know that may sound crazy to some people, but I don't know that he will play this year.
Right.
And his value's already hurt because Drew Brees isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And so now that we don't know he's going to play, I'm in the 8th round. If he's there, I honestly may take him. But I think some people will take him in the 5th, 6th, or 7th. Those are my thoughts. Right, go ahead.
I think.
No, go ahead, James.
I think the biggest issue is his cohesion with the team, his cohesion with the front office. Reports are saying that they asked him not to get that surgery last year to keep playing on that ankle so that they could make a run for Brees in his final year. And now they are kind of, not owning that and not really stepping up and going, hey, this is why he didn't get the surgery until late. And that for him, for that type of dude, it's kind of a betrayal in his eyes. Right. So I don't know that he's going to get as much opportunity even when he does play, and a lesser QB is throwing him the rock. So yeah, I'm with you, man. 8th round. He'll go way earlier, but he's definitely falling on my board. I'm a Buckeye, so
yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to go in most leagues 5, 6, or 7. And to me, just how the value of all the players in the 8th, I will look at him. I'm depending on what falls me. I might even take him in the 8th. I may not if he take him until the 9th if he was there, but I don't foresee myself owning him in any formats because I don't see him being available at that point. But he's fallen that much for me.
Yeah. There's I definitely agree with you guys. He's another player, him and Deshaun Watson, that I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. And I have my reasons being,
and I may own them both if everybody feels like Brandon.
You may. I feel like personally, with the delayed surgery, he's going to miss time, and I just think he doesn't like the type of. I feel like the reason he messed with Drew Brees because Drew Brees stopped going downfield with the ball, so it was easy for him to hit Mike. Mike is not a deep threat target, right? Jameis Winston likes to
can't guard Mike.
Can't guard Mike. King of the slant route. I mean, Sean Payton wants to go down the field. That's why you would have those spurts where Taysom Hill will come in and chuck one because Drew Brees' arm, which is just wasn't what it was. Jameis Winston loves to go down the field. So I just think with what the Saints actually want to do offensively in the passing game, I don't think Michael Thomas necessarily meshes with it. On top of the fact, I would not be surprised if when he came back, he demanded a trade. So I don't even think that he's going to be. I don't think he's going to play for the Saints. Just that's just my feeling. But I wouldn't be surprised if he demanded a trade, just because, like James says, like once you lose trust in the organization in that way, it's just too hard to come back from that. On top of like the health part of it, that he's like, man, I've kind of sacrificed my body, and now you know what I mean. And now you guys, kind of bull jobbing around. So I wouldn't be surprised if he demanded a trade throughout the season.
Same, right. Good point.
So, yeah, it looks like we're all on the same page there. Brandon's even lower on him than us. He's falling even further from Brandon.
I mean, one of the reasons too is like with a name like Michael Thomas, there's that pressure if he's on your team, if he's healthy, he's ready to go, whatever the case is.
You got to
start him. I got to play him.
You got to.
And I'm one of those people. I am loyal to number ones, man. If you're number one, you're gonna be playing every week.
Brandon texts me, "Gotta play number ones, bro. Gotta play number." Actually, James texted me that too.
Exactly.
James texted me, "Gotta play."
Exactly.
Yeah, he says exactly. He goes, "Ride your horses, bro."
Dude, ride your horses, baby.
And I'm a different philosophy. I say, James, I don't own a single damn horse. Brandon, I'm not loyal to any of these people. I don't know any of them personally. I'm here to win week to week. I don't care if I got to use all free agents. I'm here to win week to week.
But see, that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole, because even if he was healthy, it would play these voodoo mind games on me. Like, dude, it's Michael Thomas. You got to put him in. You're not going to play him so you can get 20 on your bench. Put him in so you can get 0 for the third week in a row. Do it.
All right, Brandon, go ahead. Give me your number 3 faller.
My number 3 faller is going to be Josh, not Josh Jacobs. Matter of fact, I'll just say Josh Jacobs since I kind of threw him out there. I kind of slipped out there. I'm going to say Josh Jacobs, mainly because he was a highly coveted, running back the past couple seasons. Like he had a really good rookie campaign. It's just the Oakland Raiders, man. They are just I don't want to call them a dumpster fire, but I mean they're pretty close. I mean, they got rid of 2 of their best offensive linemen. I mean, they are starting 3 brand new offensive linemen this year. They went out and got Kenyon Drake, who's going to be super effective in the passing game. So I definitely think Josh Jacobs' share touches are going to go way down. So for me, he's definitely falling down my draft boards based off of injuries, breaking in new offensive linemen, and bringing in a running back in free agency. 2 Alabama running backs, man. I added a little plug in there.
Both not worth anything. So Brandon, where was he before for you at the beginning of the offseason? Where is he now? Where is he fallen from into?
Before, I probably would have taken him 2nd round. Now I probably would say I would probably call him third round-ish. I would definitely look heavily to more of a number 1 wide receiver before I took Josh Jacobs.
Early or late for 3rd round?
I would say mid, or early to mid 3rd round.
All right. Well, I'll finish my thought then. You were actually higher on Josh Jacobs than I am, but Josh Jacobs has not fallen for me. I have not been high on him all offseason since the offseason began, and they signed Kenyon Drake to a huge contract for a running back. Like, I understand it's not an NBA contract, but it's a huge contract for a running back in free agency, especially one that's not named the top 4 or 5 names. So as soon as they signed Kenyon Drake to that, I was like, oh, this is a committee now. It's a committee. Josh Jacobs is no longer number 1. he to me is like I would say a 4th round pick to me.
But see, for me, the reason that I don't really hold that much stock in the King and Drake, which I feel like it's going to be a matter, they're going to be a committee, but the general manager Mike Mayock, like I feel like organizational wise, like they don't know what they're doing in Oakland. That's another one of the reasons to why I feel like they got rid of all offensive linemen. So I think the offensive lineman is gonna the new offensive line is gonna hinder them way more than King and Drake. Even though I think the King and Drake thing is gonna take away some of his touches because they pay the money. But I think the factor is gonna be that they got rid of three freaking offensive linemen, which is bananas, because that was one of the strong suits of the team, was the offensive line, and they got rid of 3 of those guys. So
I understand, and I agree with you, Brandon. I agree with you too, Julian. I just there's a lot of stock when you look at these ADPs and a lot of these drafts, these mocks. You see Josh going high. I'm with you. I don't think he's as high as they're proclaiming him to be, and I'm with you. I think 4th round, 3rd round maybe for Jacobs, and that's without Drake. I mean, Drake does change the game a little bit, but at the end of the day, I just, he was highly coveted coming out of USC and has had some games. I mean, he's probably won a handful of these cats some games in fantasy, but I don't believe he's as highly coveted as you see on these mocks and his ADP. So I agree with you.
All right, James, go ahead. Number 3, Fowler.
So some new info. I'm gonna, and this is somebody that I've been high on, but James Conner out there in AZ. He's already missing time in camp due to an injury, and Chase the apparent RB1 in AZ. So I just, we talked about him last podcast and that, he's probably gonna have a pretty good year in Arizona. But yeah, man, it doesn't look like he's very healthy. And people with training camp injuries, man, and they're sitting out loads of time in training camp. It tends to worry me a little bit when it comes draft time.
So how did it say what his injury was and how long he's out?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So he's fallen from where to where for you in as far as drafts?
So I think we talked about him like 5th, 6th, maybe.
I think we said 6th. I think that was kind of the consensus.
Yeah. So I think he drops to 9 or later.
Who? James Conner?
James Conner, 9th. Yeah. Honestly, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I have no argument.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still pretty high on James Conner. I think eventually by the end of the season he's gonna be the RB1 in Arizona.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. All I'm saying to you is this guy could have been a starter on most teams. Yeah. And what worries me is that he's already missing time. He's not healthy, and that's weird. So he's falling for me.
Yeah, and I also don't think that James Conner will be the starter. James Conner was not very good last year. James Conner had a good year when he played when Le'Veon Bell left because the line was good in Pittsburgh. I don't think that he is that great of a running back. He was not highly coveted. He played well. He's a seasoned vet because of the time he spent in a good system in Pittsburgh, behind a good line at the time. And then when the line wasn't as good, he didn't perform very well. He was nowhere near as good as Le'Veon, but the line was good, so he performed well. I think his skill set is almost exactly as good as Chase Edmonds. I don't see much of a difference right now. They say that they're 1 and 1A. Is the most recent report I read is Chase Edmonds is 1, James Conner is 1A. It can go either way. If we say James Conner finishes better because it was a 54% to 46% split, then sure. But I don't really see James Conner taking a bulk at all. If one were to take a bulk, I think with Chase Edmonds, he knows the offense better. But regardless, I don't think James Conner is better than him. Those are my 2 cents.
Cool. Give us your number 2.
My number two is.
I was about to roll to my number two because it's kind of piggybacking off of.
All right, go ahead.
It's going to be Chase Edmonds.
Is your faller? Is a faller?
Yeah, it's faller. So I think he's going to fall just because like I said, I feel like James Conner is going to be, because right now James Conner is being taken like he's a 36th running back, 25th for Chase Edmonds. So I feel like there's going to be a little reachness for Chase Edmonds when like we just said, like they're going to be 1A and 1B. And I feel like you're going to, like I feel like the better value pick is going to be James Conner versus taking Chase Edmonds, because I mean, you're still going to have some pretty nice running backs on the board if you take Chase Edmonds at where he's being taken at right now. So I mean, for me, I'm not that high on him. So for me, he's going to be a faller.
So my thought is, in a scenario where you see a split like that, is take the one who you can get cheaper, because
exactly.
So I'm not going to have very many, if at all, shares of Chase Edmonds, because he's more expensive than James Conner. So if I own one of those two, it's most likely going to be James Conner because he's cheaper. And it looks like a 50-50 split right now.
Yeah.
And even reports out of camp are it's 1 and 1A, not a 1 and 2, 1 and 1A. They are splitting everything. So if I'm going to own one of them, it's going to be James Conner. And I think that's a good point, Brandon. I agree with your faller. Chase Edmonds shouldn't be going as high as his ADP, because him and James Conner should be 1 and 1A.
And that is barring that James Conner doesn't have an actual injury.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And because if he does, then it's Edmonds all day.
Well, it looks like he's saying that it's saying in the offseason that James Conner had a toe surgery, so they don't know if he went out with another injury or maybe Arizona is just kind of trying to ease him into
right.
it.
So that's right.
It kind of happens questionable, but he did have a toe surgery in the offseason.
Good thing he got 9 other toes. So I'll go on to my number 2 faller. My number 2 faller is me. I think I might be eating a little bit of my words to James, because James talked a lot of smack on James Robinson, said how Travis Etienne is the guy. And Brandon and I both talked about how Travis Etienne might not be the starter there. I might be eating a little bit of my words as we get close to the season. James Robinson is a big faller for me. I'm probably not going to own any shares of James Robinson because I don't see him being the guy. Travis Etienne, first round pick. And the reports are Urban Meyer is using the heck out of this guy. Using him in the role of an Alvin Kamara. So if you go back a couple of years, I don't expect Jacksonville to be as dynamic as a New Orleans Saints offense. But if you look at Alvin Kamara is all over the place, and then maybe Latavius, at the time, Mark Ingram was still a stud, and he was doing a lot of the running. But now, like a Latavius Murray, I look at James Robinson as a Latavius Murray right now. And Latavius Murray may have value. You should take him late. If Alvin Kamara gets hurt for one, he's an RB1. But on top of that, with that offense not having a good quarterback, not having a number 1 wide receiver, Latavius Murray may be a good late round pick. With that being said, I look at James Robinson the same way. So you're looking at double-digit rounds. James Robinson was going in those mid rounds, sometimes as high as 4, which was ludicrous, but most of the time 5, 6, 7. To me, James Robinson, I'm not looking at him until 10 or 11 at this point, because Travis Etienne is that guy, and Travis Etienne needs to be going in probably around 4. So I think I'm eating a little bit of my words from what I said earlier. So maybe 6 weeks ago. Now it's happening. We're actually underway. And James said it's all recorded. This one he got me on, I admit. And James Robinson, I don't think is going to do anything.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
So just for clarity, Julian, I was always down on James Robinson as well. I stated on a couple podcasts before. I feel like I don't think Travis Etienne is going to be like as productive as James Robinson, but I feel like he's going to have more touches because they expended draft capital on him.
Okay, so you don't think that his stock has fallen at all?
Who, James Robinson?
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No. You were saying because of me and you were high on him, but I was saying I was like from the beginning of the season, like when they drafted ETN, I was never high on James Robinson this season.
But point is, you and I were both higher on Robinson than ETN.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And now gone. But okay. All right, Brandon, give us your number 2.
Well, I've already did Josh Jacobs and Edmonds, so my top faller for me is going to be Jonathan Taylor for
wait. I didn't give James the number 2, did I?
Yeah, you just said Brandon number 2. I was like, well, I did 2 already.
Well,
James,
James, my bad. I'm sorry, James.
So this
nobody
is
wants to hear what you think, James.
Yeah. All right. So this is a kid who I was super high on in our first podcast, and I've mentioned on a couple others that his stock's been falling, but and it's Tua, man. I was, we always talk about these quarterbacks that are kind of two-way. He's definitely one. He's got feet, and he'll get you some yards on the ground, but he's having trouble with the playbook. And I think the biggest thing I'm hearing out of camp that's going to hurt him in my eyes, and which really drops him completely off for me, is this cohesion with his wide receivers. And that's strange because one of those cats he just got done playing with. So awkward. So yeah, he's dropped way off for me. And so that's me eating my own words to me. What you got?
I definitely do not agree with that. Maybe it's a little bit of the Alabama homer that's coming out of me. I have to admit,
sure.
But I think Tua. I mean, from what I'm seeing and hearing from the camps, I feel like he's doing really well. I mean, they had a lot of bad wide receiver play last year. So, but I feel like Tua's going to bounce back. They get a full off season. Like, there's no COVID. Like he was learning, his, from training camp, basically via Skype and all of that, the playbook. But I feel like I feel like he's going to do a lot better. And I feel like they're going to cut the reins loose with him a little bit more, because I still feel like they kind of, had a collar on him, so to speak, because the playbook was different from him than it was for Fitzpatrick. But I definitely think that they're going to allow him to cut it loose a little bit. And I feel like his confidence is up. So, I mean, I haven't heard anything like bad other than the one day they do a couple of interceptions. But I mean, other than that, I've heard really good things with Tua progressing in training camp and offseason and stuff.
Right. So I'm gonna keep it short. I agree. He went already from really bad to worse for me. So he's fallen even more. In a 1 QB format, I don't think you should even ever own the guy. 2 QB format, of course, you got to own everybody. But yeah, I wouldn't even own him in a 2 QB format. Brandon, give us your number 3.
My number 3 is going to be
top faller.
My number 3 is going to be Jonathan Taylor. And a lot of it has to do because he's actually fallen on a lot of draft boards, because initially he was at about 6. So he's at about roughly the 14th overall pick. So like mid-second round ish, like early second round.
Early second.
He was a bona fide first, you know what I mean? Like before the whole Carson Wentz deal, on top of the injury to Nelson. So I feel like we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. So there's going to be a lot of stack boxes in old Jonathan Taylor's future.
I agree. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny though, because I think that's Julian eating his words again, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
James, I think you were higher on Jonathan Taylor than I was.
Are you sure?
I definitely wasn't.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you were higher on him than me.
All right, we'll go back and check.
Yeah.
All right.
And the thing is, and that's not eating words. That's just through the Carson Wentz injury changes everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I mean, I'm sure you guys' stance on Jonathan Taylor wouldn't have changed if the injuries didn't come about.
It wouldn't have. I had him in that second, like I had him mid first round, and I have him late first round, early second now, because Carson Wentz is not there, and on top of it, the injury to their linemen, their Pro Bowl linemen. So injuries is what changed it for me. It has nothing to do with Jonathan Taylor.
No doubt. I'm just messing with you. And his ADP before the injuries was way too high already.
Yeah.
So.
All right, James, give us your number 3. I'll end it with my number 3.
All right. And my final is Raheem Mostert in San Fran. So
Did you say mustard?
I said mustard. So this cat has never played more than 11 games in any season. He's sharing snaps with somebody who is projected to go 2 rounds after him, who in my opinion should go 2 rounds before him. So I think Trey and Mostert should switch spots. I think Trey should go late 6, and I think Mostert should go early 9. So and right now they're the exact opposite. You got Mostert going early 7, late 6, and you got Sermon going 9.
I agree that Trey should be above. I think Trey should probably be 6, and Mostert should probably be 7 because the Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yeah.
2 running backs are running backs 2 every year. So I'm still high on Mostert, but I just think Sermon will probably finish a little bit better. But I think Sermon should be higher, but I'm still high on Mostert.
Yeah, this for me, this kind of goes to what Julian was saying earlier about, you're always going to go with the person that you're going to get cheaper. I feel like Sermon's going to be cheaper than Mostert. And Mostert, just like James put out the stats about his injuries, dude is hurt every year, man. He was hurt this freaking offseason already. So he's another guy. Unless I was backed into a corner, I would take him. I would definitely fixate on Trey Sermon way more than I wouldn't look Raheem Mostert way. I would probably draft Trey Sermon before I drafted Mostert.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's always played in a committee, right? He's always played in a committee, so he's not getting the lion's share of the snaps. He's sharing them. So and he's still hurt,
which is honestly to his credit, because even with that, he's still putting up big numbers.
Yeah, it's just, man, dude just made of glass, man.
Yeah. All right. The final pick we have, my number 1 faller, MVP, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. And let me explain to you why he's a faller. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still in a pandemic. COVID-19 is still running amok. And this Delta variant is a bad, bad boy. The young man you're looking at, Brandon Lavender, just had COVID-19 about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe. He was just feeling it. It is a real thing. The world is still suffering from this. Lamar Jackson's had it twice already and still came out today and said he refuses to get the vaccine. I cannot trust somebody who refuses to get the vaccine and can play on my fantasy team in a pandemic. If you take Lamar Miller, you need to draft another quarterback. You need to draft, and
Jackson.
I'm circling it back. Lamar Jackson. Sorry. If you take Lamar Jackson, you need to take Deshaun Watson later. Because you need to have some insurance. Or okay. All right. In reality.
Nice advice, Julian.
Yeah. Or in reality, I recommend taking somebody you can get really cheap, whether it's a Trevor Lawrence or somebody you can get really cheap, because he is not a sure thing. Players are going to go out this year from COVID-19.
Yes.
And he already showed he's not getting the vaccine. That scares me. One minute.
He actually didn't say that. I watched the press conference. He actually said when he was asked, he said, "Me and my doctors will talk about it." Which
is the same thing.
Kind of.
Yeah. 30 seconds.
But he's already had it twice. He may not be able to get it again.
Yes,
he'll get it again.
And I mean, I would be, like Julian said, I would be terrified to take him, being that COVID is real. He can get it to be sidelined for a couple weeks. That would hurt your fantasy team, especially if you expended high draft capital on him, like 4th or 5th round or something like that. You're going to be hurting.
And you will.
It's going to happen. Know that you're drafting in a pandemic. All right, this has been the Fantasy Freaking Football Podcast. We're out. Everybody say what's up. We're out. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Fantasy Freaking Football Podcast.